So my team and I in my vertical studio are making a shoe cutting game, and I ran into the problem of in the game, basically, we want um, the player to be able to collect these clues. So I wanted the player to be able to interact with the clue in a certain portion area, but I also wanted to just make one blueprint for it and switch out the mesh and also the text. Um, so actually, the first thing I did was I created um, an input action, yeah, input action open clue, so that that could be called in here, which is the first thing I did. And basically, I just checked if the player is even overlapping with any clue. And I said yes, if it's not empty, if they are overlapping with any one of the clues, then it can continue. So if it's true, I'm going to set my first condition, which is overlapping, to true. And if it's false, it stops there. My second condition is player triggered. So did the player actually press F in order to interact with it? And then at first I was using flip flop, the node flip flop, which, yeah, which was mostly working. I actually thought I was finished, but then I realized that because it just goes back and forth between two, what was happening was since I had two conditions, it's triggered and it's overlap. When the player walked out of the collision box, it basically reversed what the flip flop did. So because I wanted the player to be able to walk out without closing the clue, and the clue closes automatically. So I ended up using multi-gate. So um, multi-gate sets player triggered and untriggered when you press, and then it sets the visibility. So the player presses it the first time, it goes to this sequence, which first runs this, which is something a little later, and then it runs the set visibility, and it sets it to visible but not hittable. And then when the player presses it again, it sets the visibility to collapse. So I had a few variables. So I made my clue box, which is my UI over here, my clue box, into a variable. And then I also had my two booleans, the triggered and the overlap. And then basically, in order to switching out the mesh is really easy. You just basically switch it out. But switching out the dialogue was really hard for me. So what I did was I took the original array of these overlapping actors and then I put it into a for loop. So basically, what I did was I got which position it's in, whatever overlapping element the player's overlapping with, I wanted to get the index, the position it's in my list. And then I wanted to cast to my original, this is the parent class blueprint. And then I wanted to get my ID and then set. This is a custom event, so set in text. So that's in my, yeah. So in here, I made a couple of variables. So I had my clue dialog, had my clue text, which is an array. And yeah, down here you can see there are different elements. These are all, this is the position of each one, and these are the different clues that the different dialog options. And then I had a current ID variable, which is the index for it. So I got all my clue text, and then I set the variable based on the ID. So that I could, like this, I could put in this clue. So my original one is, this was the parent one. It just has a random cube in it. And then I can put in this mesh over here and like it doesn't mean anything since it's a child. Um, and it would say different things than the other one. So I had to, at first I thought it wasn't working because I didn't actually set it, but you have to in here set the current ID manually, like it's not going to set itself, and then make sure that that correlates with the text in here. So this is two, the other one's two. And then each time I need to make a new clue, I can just add to this and I create a new child blueprint by copying this one, the child, and then you can see I have a couple of different clues already. I have a boot, I have a flashlight, and I have an axe. I'm gonna have quite a few of those. So I really wanted it to be able to switch out really fast and easy so that I didn't have to like copy and paste all of this code in and make multiple UIs for it, which didn't make sense. But yeah, I couldn't find anything online about doing this, and it took quite a bit of trial and error, and also a lovely PA helping me in my class. So, and then just the last thing is basically end overlap, and I set the overlap to false, and it matches that. So, um, so when I press F, it pops up and goes away, but also when I walk away from the box, it disappears. And yeah, that's my game.